people are thinking that WoW Classic is like the second coming of Christ when it comes to gaming. But this is what I see every single time that a game comes out that looks like this. Like, this is always going to happen. There are actually, and there's like a couple of things that we can like talk about. So let's look at old school RuneScape, which is like the example that like everybody uses about like why like so what the argument I'm basically going to make is like progression server games that were done before, they're not going to have the popularity of games that are of new games or new potential genres, because they've already been done before and it's just not the same. And we're going to talk about that. But I just want to shut this down right away because I know this is going to be the first argument. A lot of people always say that old school RuneScape is a game that is like the challenge of like why progression games do well. Old school RuneScape as a category is not very popular as a game and as a viewed game on Twitch. Both by played stats and by minutes watched, it's just not that impressive of a category. It's a pretty minor game. So in terms of average channels, it's in the top 50 of Twitch. So it's almost never in the top 20. And in terms of peak viewers, it's 153rd. So this is not like a game that's like insane. Sometimes on average it can be in the top 30, which is pretty nice, right? And it's up. But yeah, so like 127 average, 6,000 viewers. It's okay, but it's like not like moving the needle. And the other thing too is that most of the old school RuneScape like streams are personalities. Like the big ones are focused on personalities, which we can see by these graphs. So old school RuneScape is like a bad example for like World of Warcraft. A better example would be something like EverQuest 1, which already did the whole progression server thing. So EverQuest 1 some years ago, they came out with a couple of time-locked progression servers where the idea was that you would basically start with the classic EverQuest experience and you would start from server 1, you would go through it, and then you would play expansions. Like every 3 months, they would re-release an expansion. It was really cool. It was like awesome. I played on a bunch of progression servers and had a ton of fun. The thing is that what happened was there was this huge nostalgia for the event, right? Like everybody that had been playing EverQuest since 1999 had wanted to go back to the game and check it out. And so there was this like giant nostalgia for the event. I think the login numbers for EverQuest 1 actually beat the max login numbers that the game had ever gotten, which is kind of crazy, right? Like there were more people coming back for the progression, which tells you that there's a bandwagon effect, which is the same thing that you're seeing with World of Warcraft, right? That there is a bandwagon effect of people that are going to come into the game and are going to like play it because everybody's talking about it. This is a very important concept that we'll come back to later that I really want to talk about, but don't forget that. Essentially what that means is you're seeing the same thing with World of Warcraft. There are going to be more concurrents coming into Classic WoW than there were at like the peak viewership at that time. It's really important to note that because those aren't players that previously played the game. They're people that are bandwagoning because they heard about the game, and that's a very important category of player that we're going to talk about in a minute. So there are people that weren't around for that time effectively. So what happened with EverQuest 1 was that there was this initial like big push and everybody got into it and had a lot of fun. And then after about a couple of weeks or even like a month at max, the game started to sort of fall off. And there were a couple of reasons for this. I'm going to give you the three main ones. 3 reasons for this are actually the same reasons that I think World of Warcraft is going to like have this problem within like 3 to 6 months. So the first one is that there just isn't enough content in old classic games. There's only so many times that you can like PvP at Torren Mill or like run Molten Core before you're just bored. These games like BFA, they have these massive, like there's like dozens of raids, dozens of PvP opportunities for people that are going to play like a hardcore experience of like classic WoW. There's something for them to do like 7 to 8 hours a day. And there's enough for them to go off of. In World of Warcraft Classic, there just isn't enough. You're not going to be able to get enough out of it to like sustain the gameplay. And let me also like make a quick exception here for the people that are like genuinely after the classic experience. I respect you and I'm not talking to you. I'm respecting to like the majority of the game. So that's number one, is like there just isn't enough content. And this happened on EverQuest 1. There's pretty much like 2 raids in EverQuest Classic. And there's Nagafen and Lady Vox. And like once you're done with those, like and the Plane of Fear, I guess. And once you're done with those, like you're kind of done. So these Uber guilds like Method and whatever, like they'll absolutely rush for World First or whatever, right? They're in Vegas right now, like getting ready, and they're going to go hard and whatever. And and then they're going to get that stuff. And they're not, it's just like, what then? Like how many times are you're going to like gear out your whole guild and then what? Like there's just not going to be enough content for that. So that's number one. Number 2 is, I think, another really big issue, and this is one that I didn't think about before I went back to EverQuest, which was that the whole experience is actually solved. And it's a big part of it. when I played EverQuest 1, one of the coolest things was like walking around and you would be talking to random NPCs and you'd have no idea what they do. And you have to like talk to them in this way where you'd be like, they would be triggered by keywords. So you'd be like, what egg? Which egg? What eggs can I bring? And like one would like trigger him to like give this like paragraph sentence, and then you'd have to like follow it up. And then he'd give you a quest, and you wouldn't even know what the quest was. It wouldn't tell you what was in the quest. It wouldn't tell you what your reward was. You just have to go get the eggs and figure it out. And sometimes you get a bad reward. Sometimes you get something really cool. And there wasn't really a wiki or a way or like a Google or like anything like that in 1999 to be able to like tell what was going to be there. That made the game so interesting because that aspect of exploration required you to try to collaborate with other players and to like find groups to go do content and things like that. Because the World of Warcraft, which I also played since beta, right, was the similar type of experience. In fact, I remember like the EverQuest players were making fun of World of Warcraft because it was so streamlined. We were making fun of like the question marks and everything because it was like, oh, like they just tell you where the quests are, like they just tell you what to do. This is so easy. But even still, like the initial experience of World of Warcraft had a lot of figuring out and like churning through content, like figuring out what to do. In the case of EverQuest, there were like months-long quests that you could do. Where like I remember one was like for a really popular item called Journeyman Boots, you would have to go kill these random NPCs in these other zones and bring them to this guy that only spawns like 2 hours a day, and he runs at max speed through this one zone. And so you have to like, the Wrath Mountains, and you have to like follow him and then talk to him over and over again, and then you give him the items and like 5,000 gold, and you get your boots. That's how crazy it was, and you would never even know unless like other players talk to you about this. So I think that the second big problem is like it's just not. The experience of WoW is solved. Everything's in a wiki. You're going to watch a streamer do everything infinitely better than you. It's like you versus the Chad streamer that has like 800 people behind him and like power levels in like 3 seconds and no life sit. And like you have that comparison of like the social media aspect where it's like there were Uber guilds in like previous WoW, but they weren't as prominent. Now you're going to see Method like do this content in 7 days, and kind of the hype's going to be over. Like it's like you're going to be like your level 13 like jerk off rogue, and you're going to be like, wow, I guess like what am I doing now? Like there's already like level 60s with like max gear, and they're just like taking me to Pound Town every time I walk into Stranglethorn Vale. Like that's just not going to be a thing. Like I think that's like a big factor too. Is like the experience has just been solved. And then the third reason, and another like really important reason, is I think that people just times have changed, right? So even if these two things don't apply to you, the content problem and the experience problem, the other problem is that you just have different stuff you do now. Jobs, you have there's girls, boys, responsibilities. You're just older. Maybe so a lot of the people that like started playing World of Warcraft in like its initial heyday have like kids now. And they have like jobs, and they're like out of school, and they just can't spend the same amount of time that they spend on Classic WoW. Like that experience, that nostalgia is just kind of like not there. So that brings us back to the bandwagon effect, which I if you remember that I was talking about, the idea that like a lot of these people are coming into this experience to try to, it's a literal bandwagon actually, because these people that actually played Classic WoW, they're going back to Classic WoW because they want to relive that past experience, not knowing that they can't really do that. It's going to be different in context because the times are different and because of the reasons I mentioned. There are people that maybe started playing WoW way later, or actually people that have probably never played WoW. I've seen several tweets. How many of you have seen tweets from people that are like, I've never played WoW, this is my chance? Like, these people are going to get booty blasted by how dated the engine is, how clunky it is, how ridiculously slow leveling is. They don't remember what like Classic was like, and these people are not going to sustain on this game. With the kind of like crowd that these people are, the Fortnite crowd that expects like instant gratification, like queue into systems, like things like that, there's no way these people are going to stay with this game. It's going to be hideously slow for them. So these like bandwagon people are going to fall off like right away. Like these guys are going to take, actually it's going to be so fast. And again, like everybody is comparing this to old school RuneScape. Like, oh yeah, old school RuneScape released, it did pretty well, and like it's kind of gradually growing. Like, no, you need to compare this to EverQuest 1. That's the easiest comparison. It's just a bigger EverQuest 1. EverQuest 1, all the players came in, everybody bandwagoned the hardcore players, and they shot ahead right away. and they went to level 50. They maxed out. They did every raid. They had all the equipment, and that wasn't even a PvP game. If it had been, it would have been nuts. Then the casuals were kind of just like, okay, like I get it. The guys that wanted the nostalgia, like me, they got their nostalgia back. And I even dual boxed 50th level characters on Agnar. Like I was a pretty serious player, but I was over it in like a couple months. You know, I never even got to like Ruins of Kunark and I got the first expansion because it's just over it. Like we did the content, we ran it, we had the best gear. It was it. Didn't take that long. Something about, I might be wrong on this, but it feels like the way that you do content now is also like really highly optimized. Like maybe it was always like this, but it felt like at least during like Classic WoW and like and like Burning Crusade, it didn't feel like guilds were like go. Like maybe it didn't feel like that because like we didn't have streams, we didn't have Twitch TV and stuff like that. But these days it's like Method is just gonna hyper optimize this shit. Everybody is just gonna hyper optimize, like carry the one like 50D chests, like underwater galactic hungry hippo stuff, and they're going to figure out exactly how to get there, and there's no way that anybody can compete. And then what are they going to do? They have all the gear, and they have everything. What they're going to do is they're going to gank you in Stranglethorn Vale all day, and you're not going to be able to level. So initially, like, the people that bandwagon, right, they're going to get immediately frustrated by this. And it's not going to be fast enough, and then they're going to peace out. Then you've got like the people that are there for the nostalgia, and they may even get pretty far. Like they may even get to like level 50, whatever, 60, right? Or I don't remember WoW Classic's max level. In EverQuest 1 it was 50. I think it's 60 in WoW. Yeah. So like they're going to get there, and then they're going to max out. And that nostalgia is just going to be done for them. And then that's like the 3-month mark. And then like the 4, 5, 6 month, you're going to see people like really, and this is like generous, dude. Like I think I'm giving too much time because people gave me so much, I'm scarred because people gave me so much trouble about TFT, but my stats were exact on TFT. It was exactly what I said it was going to be. And so I think then there's this like special crowd, and I want to like shout you out, okay? There's this special crowd of people that are the people that are just like, you loved World of Warcraft Classic. It was your deal. It was your jam. It was your jam and butter. And you love the aesthetic. You love the feeling of the game. You love the difficulty. You're going to find a home on WoW Classic. And like once the servers normalize and this Spurg streamer stuff gets out of here and all that stuff happens, you'll be in your home. You'll be there. And this, to some extent, this game is like made for you if you can tolerate the like first 3 months of like total Spurg. I think the true WoW Classic veterans are like not looking forward to this whole thing. The people that like truly want to join the game, they're the ones that are on like websites like this. Like they're on websites like trying to avoid Fairlina because they want to like actually get the authentic experience. Like that, like I don't think, because streamers are probably going to ruin everything. Not only is there going to be that social media comparison of like, oh yeah, like, okay, Asmongold got level 50 in like 3 seconds. Like, okay, like I'm here on my like level 9 rogue, like trying to backstab like a freaking boar. I think the people that really want this game, they're the people that are like, yeah, screw streamers, screw everything. Like, I just want to really enjoy this game. And those people I really respect because I was one of those people for EverQuest 1. I don't have that experience for World of Warcraft, but I can say, like, going back to Agnar and EverQuest 1 and playing that progression server, dude, it was so fun. I loved it. It was like going back to that and getting that experience of, like, playing that game and remembering going back to all those zones, the chessboard and seeing the hill giants and like going back through it. And I knew how clunky it was. And like, I wasn't disappointed at all. It was such a good experience. And that like month and a half that I got out of it, it was great. I wouldn't take it back for anything. It was so fun. And that was it. Like then I got it. And I've gotten that. I've kind of like relived that EverQuest for me, but it's important to understand that that's what this is going to be for Classic WoW. It's not going to be like a Fortnite thing. It's not going to reinvent the wheel. We need to acknowledge that in gaming, we have a huge problem with recycling content, just like Hollywood. It's like we have a, like, WoW Classic is ultimately not a new game. Warcraft 3 is not a new game either. And by the way, when Warcraft 3 Reforged comes out, here we are at www.youtube.com/DevinNash, twitch.tv/DevinNash, right? We're going to be here again talking about how World of Warcraft or Warcraft 3 Reforged is not the next big RTS. Why? Because it's been done before. Publishers just CBA to actually make good games. We've been in a drought. One of the reasons why WoW Classic is so huge, it's a total drought of games. We have no games for the last like 6 months or the next like 3 months. It's like this Call of Duty and like I don't even know what. like Cyberpunk is somewhere, but that's not going to get us through. The lack of multiplayer games is insane. It's so low, and I just think like ultimately we just need to be aware that like this is not a new game experience. This is an old game experience, and like it's going to serve well for the people that I think it's supposed to serve well for, but the vast majority of us are going to be over it in like 1 to 3 months. And, you know, the WoW streamers are going to be back to doing whatever they do. So that's what I'll say about it. I really want the people who are invested in it to have fun and the people that are truly going to love it. I hope that the people that like played Classic WoW get that authentic experience of it. I hope that like the Googling and like the experience being solved and everything doesn't ruin it. And because it didn't ruin it for EverQuest 1. But a big reason for that was that EverQuest 1 actually still to this day doesn't have a lot of good data on it. It's like there's a couple of games like this. Is one of the reasons why I love like EVE Online. There are so many things I can't find on Google about Eve. They're just things that people know. It's like an old blacksmith that like is like making a sword. It's like ding, ding, ding. And like they craft like the perfect sword. Like you can't Google that, dude. Like it's just a sword that the person has because they know it from like years and years of experience. There's tons of things that I can't find about my Eve gameplay experience, like optimal tier 2 industry plans or how to fly things like fly certain ships optimally and things like that. It just isn't there. And that was the case for EverQuest 1 as well. Like when you went back, that stuff had never been indexed in and it was just not there. So it was really hard to find information about certain things. With World of Warcraft though, like everything is solved. Like everything is solved. You'll know exactly the most optimal way to level, like you'll like zone by zone everything. So I hope that for the people that actually like are meant to enjoy this game, that you really get a lot out of it and you like really enjoy that authentic experience. But I really want that for you because I got that from EverQuest. But don't expect this to be like the next Fortnite craze or whatever. Like we still, I feel like, are so long out from getting like a good authentic game that like redefines the industry. We need new blood to do that. And like I'm still mad at Blizzard because all they do is like recycle content. Like I'm pretty convinced that like Blizzard can't make. I'm worried about Diablo 4, right? Like I'm hoping that Diablo 4 is like the game that kind of gets them out there. Like Diablo 4 has that potential, but at the same time, just be like more recycled content. Like I'm not impressed with like Warcraft Reforged. Okay, it's Warcraft 3 again. You're adding like a map, you know, or like classic WoW. You know, it's been done before. Like we need to get new blood into the gaming industry. We need to like make this good. Well, that's my take on it. Like TLDR, like I think it's gonna become a nice healthy category. It's gonna sit at, you know, World of Warcraft has always been in the top 20, right? So maybe they'll boost it up. Maybe it'll be like a top 10 game when you add the classic to the World of Warcraft category, and they'll be like classic and BFA. Altogether, I just hope people enjoy it. I hope that the people that really want this experience have fun with it, but don't temper your expectations. Like it's not going to be as big as everybody says it is. It's gonna fade pretty quick. Okay, that's my talk. I'll answer questions and stuff now, but that's my whole talk. Thank you guys for listening.